Picture yourself in the heart of Tenochtitlan, the air thick with the scent of copal incense, and the distant thump of drums echoing off stone pyramids. It's not the Hollywood version of the Aztec Empire, all gleaming gold and feathered headdresses. No, this is the real deal, a city of canals and causeways where the marketplace hums with vendors, hawking maize and obsidian, and the shadow of the great temple looms over every decision. Tonight we're diving into something as poetic as it is brutal, the Aztec justice system. Before you settle in dim, the lights maybe crack a window for that cool night breeze, and let's travel back to a world where law wasn't just a rule book, but a performance, a spectacle of blood and balance that kept an empire humming. Oh, and if you're enjoying this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me where you're listening from. London at midnight, Texas at dawn. I'm curious. When you think of the Aztecs, what comes to mind? Probably heart sacrifices, priests with obsidian knives, or those jaw-dropping pyramids slick with ceremonial red. Fair enough. Their rituals were intense, no question. But here's the kicker. The Aztecs weren't just about slicing and dicing for the gods. They had a legal system, and it was as organised as your grandma's pantry, only way less forgiving. Steal a basket of maize, you might be paraded naked through the plaza with chili powder stinging your skin. Cut down a sacred tree, hope you like inhaling smoke until your lungs beg for mercy. These weren't random acts of cruelty. They were law Aztec style, where punishment was both a lesson and a show. Justice wasn't hidden in some dusty courtroom, it was loud, public, and impossible to ignore, like a street performer with a grudge and a very sharp stick. This system wasn't chaos dressed in feathers. It had structure rules, even a kind of twisted fairness. The Aztecs believed every crime from sneaking an extra sip of pulque to cheating on your spouse threw the world out of whack. Fixing it meant more than a slap on the wrist. It meant setting the universe right. Picture a society where every misstep could anger the gods, where a thief didn't just rob a neighbour, but risked cosmic harmony. That's why punishments were so vivid, shaving heads, painting bodies, or worse. They weren't just hurting you. They were making sure everyone watching got the message, don't mess with the order. So as we ease into this tale, imagine standing in a crowded plaza, the air buzzing with anticipation, knowing the next punishment might be a warning or a mirror. Ready to see how the Aztecs kept their world spinning. Let's go. You're still here in Tenochtitlan, the sun glinting off the canals, the chatter of the marketplace, a low hum in your ears. Last time we stepped into the Aztec world of justice, where law was less about dusty scrolls and more about public spectacle. Each punishment a story etched in shame and pain. Now let's pull back the curtain on how this system actually worked, because believe it or not, the Aztecs had a legal code sharper than an obsidian blade and twice as precise. If you're liking this journey, give a quick, maybe subscribe and toss a comment about what time it is where you are. Got a fan whirring for that soothing background hum perfect? Let's dive deeper into the machinery of Aztec law. The Aztecs didn't have leather-bound law books or wig-wearing barristers, but they had the huahuitl, a collection of sayings and instructions passed down like heirlooms. Think of it as a moral GPS guiding everything from how to haggle in the market to how to avoid ending up as the main event in a plaza punishment. These weren't just suggestions, break them, and you'd feel the empire's wrath, probably with a crowd cheering. The huahuitl covered marriage trade, even what to do if your neighbour's kid swiped your turkey. Running this show were judges' stern-faced priests or noble elders who'd memorised the code like it was their favourite song. No, they didn't wear powdered wigs, but they had the kind of glare that could make you confess to crimes you didn't even commit. Bribing them risky. Get caught and you'd be lucky to keep your head. Here's where it gets wild. You could appeal your case climbing from local courts to higher ones, maybe even to the emperor himself. Sounds fair, right? Except the higher you went, the slimmer your odds. If the community already pegged you as that guy who stole the corn again, good luck convincing the top judge otherwise. These courts weren't cosy. They were stone platforms in bustling plazas surrounded by feathered cloaks and curious onlookers. Trials were fast, no years-long debates. You'd speak your piece, maybe get an elder to vouch for you, but judgments dropped like a Stone Club Swift final, and often same day. No jails to cool your heels in either. You'd be fined, shamed, enslaved, or worse, all before the sunset. That's Aztec efficiency, terrifying, skin-prickling efficiency. So as we move forward, picture yourself before one of those judges' heart-pounding crowd whispering, "What's next? A warning, or something sharper?" You're standing in the heart of Tenochtitlan's bustling plaza, the air heavy with the scent of roasted maize and the sharp tang of chili smoke drifting from a nearby vendor. The stone platform before you isn't just a stage, it's an Aztec courtroom, and the crowd's murmurs feel like a tightening noose. We've already peeked into the Empire's brutal yet orderly justice system, where laws were carved into the very balance of the cosmos. Now let's step into the trial itself, where there's no lawyer to save you, just your own trembling voice and a judge who's seen it all. If you're vibing with this, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you tuning in from? Got that fan humming for a soft backdrop? Good. Let's face the court. Forget your modern courtroom dramas with gavels and objections. An Aztec trial is raw public and about as cozy as a cactus bed. Picture yourself dragged before a stone dais, feathered cloaks of noble judges glinting under the midday sun. These aren't random officials, they're Clatooni-wise elders or priests trained for years to sniff out lies like hounds on a scent. Their faces stern as the obsidian blades at their sides don't flinch as you stammer your defence. No attorneys here. You're on your own maybe, with a family elder pleading your case if you're lucky. The plaza's packed vendors, warriors, even kids pausing their games to gawk. This isn't just justice, it's theatre, and you're the unwilling star. The process is brutally efficient. Witnesses step forward, their words carrying the weight of divine truth. Evidence like a stolen cloak or a hacked sacred tree is laid out for all to see. You get to speak, but don't expect a long monologue hesitate, and the crowd's whispers turn to jeers. The judges called Cihuacuatl or Tecutli don't dawdle. They've memorized the Uehuetl's codes and know exactly what your crime say sneaking pulque underage deserves. Appeals exist, sure, but climbing to the Emperor's court is like scaling a pyramid with greased steps. Judgments hit fast often before the chili vendor sells out. Guilty, no cell awaits. You might be shaved, bald, painted with black soot, or whipped. Right there, the crowd's cheers drowning out your groans. It's not about your rights, it's about the message break the order, and the Empire breaks you back. As the judge's eyes lock onto you, what's coming next? A warning or a whip? The sun's dipping low over Tenochtitlan, casting long shadows across the city's canals, where the water glints like polished obsidian. You're still in the Aztec world, fresh from the courtroom's glare where justice cuts sharper than any blade. Now let's shift to something smaller but no less intense: how the Aztecs disciplined their kids. This isn't your modern timeout or a stern go to your room. It's a lesson in obedience so vivid it'd make your eyes water literally. Loving this journey? Smash that like, subscribe, and comment with your time zone: midnight in Mumbai, noon in New York. Let's keep that fan whirring and dive into the spicy world of Aztec parenting. In the Aztec Empire, kids weren't just little troublemakers, they were future warriors, weavers, or priests, and slacking wasn't an option. Imagine you're a kid named Quartly, maybe 10, caught shirking your chores or sassing your mum. Your parents don't yell, they get creative. Enter the chilly smoke chamber, or Tletl-Cheli, the most dramatic listen to your elders tactic in history. You're hauled into a cramped hut, chili peppers tossed onto a smouldering fire. The smoke hits like 1,000 tiny daggers, your eyes burn, your throat claws itself shut, and you're coughing so hard you swear the gods hear it. It's not about permanent harm, it's about shame and memory. A few minutes in that fiery haze and you'll sweep the courtyard without a peep for years. But chili wasn't the only trick. Disobedient kids might be pricked with cactus spines, each sting a sharp reminder of duty. Or maybe you're sent to sweep temple steps in public, your neighbours whispering as you lug a broom twice your size. For noble kids, the stakes were higher. A boy disrespecting his teacher could be bound, beaten, or even enslaved for a spell just to drive the point home. These weren't cruel whims. They were rituals to mould you into someone the Empire could trust. Every sting, every smoky tear screamed one thing: your role matters, and so does the cosmic order. As we leave Quartly, coughing his way to better behaviour, what's next? A thief's fate, or something even grimmer? You're back in the vibrant chaos of Tenochtitlan's marketplace, where the air hums with the chatter of traders and the sharp scent of crushed chilies. The sun beats down on brightly dyed cloth stalls, but the real heat's in the crowd's whispers: someone's been caught stealing. We've seen the Aztec courtroom's raw spectacle and the fiery lessons of child discipline. Now let's zero in on theft, a crime the Aztecs didn't just frown upon, but treated like a dagger to the heart of their society. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Where are you tuning in from? Got that fan spinning for a soothing hum? Perfect. Let's step into the thief's shoes and feel the Empire's wrath. In the Aztec world, stealing wasn't just a personal slight, it was a cosmic middle finger to the gods who blessed every ear of maize and every obsidian blade. Picture yourself swiping a basket of tamales from a vendor's stall thinking you're slick. First offence. You're not getting a lecture. The market judge's sharp-eyed Bochteca with no patience for nonsense haul you into the plaza. Your punishment's public, maybe a few lashes with a maguey whip, each crack drawing gasps from the crowd. Or they shave your head, paint you with black soot and parade you through the streets, your shame louder than any drum. You'll return the goods, pay a fine, and pray your neighbours forget your new nickname, Tamale Thief. But try it again, and the stakes climb. A second theft lands you in slavery handed over to the victim to work off your debt. Every step you take hauling water or grinding maize screams honesty's easier. And if you're bold or foolish enough to steal a third time, the punishment turns gruesome. You're dragged to the temple steps for ritual skinning, a slow, ceremonial spectacle where your flesh becomes a warning to every passerby. The Aztecs didn't just punish. They performed turning your crime into a story etched in blood. Why so harsh? Because theft didn't just hurt your neighbour, it threatened the sacred balance of community and cosmos. As the crowd disperses, their whispers linger. What's next? A betrayal. Even the gods can't forgive. The sun sinking over Tenochtitlan, painting the pyramids in hues of fire and shadow. You're still in the Aztec Empire, where the marketplace's bustle fades into the quiet hum of evening. But trouble's brewing. Someone's been caught breaking a sacred bond. We've just seen theft punished with whips and worse, but now we're diving into a crime the Aztecs took even more seriously: adultery. This isn't a soap opera scandal. It's a cosmic offence, and the consequences hit like a stone club. Loving this? Smash that like, subscribe and comment with your corner of the world, midnight in Manila, dawn in Dublin. Keep that fan whirring, and let's uncover what happens when love turns lethal. In the Aztec world, marriage wasn't just a promise. It was a thread in the fabric of the universe tying families, gods and empires together. Cheat on your spouse, and you're not just breaking hearts. You're spitting in the face of cosmic harmony. Imagine you're caught sneaking around with someone else's wife. No divorce court, no therapy sessions, just a public trial in the plaza where the crowd's as eager for drama as for justice. The penalty: death, and not the quick kind. Men might face a macuahuitl, a wooden club studded with obsidian swung with brutal precision to bludgeon you before a jeering crowd. Women could be strangled, stoned, or even tossed off a cliff, depending on the region. Sometimes the wronged spouse got to swing the club themselves, talk about closure that stings. Nobles faced even harsher scrutiny. Their affairs could topple alliances or spark feuds. Get caught, and you might be paraded through the streets, shaved, bald, painted red for shame, and mocked before the final blow. False accusations weren't a free pass either. Lie about someone's infidelity, and you could face the same fate. The Aztecs didn't mess around with rumours. Evidence was king, and witnesses held your life in their words. Every punishment was a spectacle, a reminder that betraying a sacred bond didn't just end your story, it rewrote it for all to see. As the plaza empties the air heavy with the day's justice, what's next? A crime against nature itself. The evening air in Tenochtitlan wraps around you like a damp cloak, thick with the scent of blooming marigolds and the faint smoke of temple fires. The city's pulse slows as torchlight flickers across the canals, but there's tension in the plaza. Someone's messed with the wrong tree. We've seen thieves flayed and adulterers stoned, each punishment a loud lesson in Aztec justice. Now let's wander into a crime that sounds absurd to modern ears, but was deadly serious to the Aztecs: cutting down a sacred tree. If you're enjoying this dive into the past, hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you at? Midnight in Melbourne, evening in Hanoi. Keep that fan humming, and let's see what happens when you anger the gods' greenery. In the Aztec world, trees weren't just shade and firewood. Some were divine living links to the gods, ancestors and the earth's heartbeat. Picture a towering kiba near a temple, its branches heavy with offerings, or a gnarled ahuehuete in the marketplace sacred to Tlaloc, the rain god. Chop one down for your cooking fire, and you're not just vandalising, you're slapping the cosmic order. Say your court axe in hand, a sacred tree stump at your feet. The crowd gathers, their whispers sharp as obsidian. First offence. You're lashed with thorny branches, nature itself whipping you into line. Or maybe you're pricked with cactus spines, each sting a reminder of what you've wronged. The plaza hums with jeers as you're paraded, your hands bound, your dignity as splintered as the tree. It gets worse. You might lose your home confiscated or burned as restitution to the gods. Repeat the crime near a sacred site and you're enslaved, forced to labour under the temple's shadow, a walking warning to others. The Aztecs didn't just punish, they poeticized, turning your mistake into a public sermon. Why so harsh? Because nature wasn't a resource. It was a relative tied to the divine. Harming it risked droughts, plagues, or worse. As you limp away, thorns still stinging the crowd's eyes burn into you, their message clear: respect the roots, or lose your own. What's next? A sip of trouble that could cost you everything. Night has fallen over Tenochtitlan, the city's canals reflecting starlight like a mirror for the gods. The marketplace is quiet now, but there's a stir near the temple. A teenager's been caught with a forbidden drink. We've just seen what happens when you mess with sacred trees, but now we're diving into a crime that'd make any modern parent wince underage drinking. In the Aztec Empire, this wasn't a slap-on-the-wrist offence. It was a one-way ticket to serious trouble. Loving this journey? Smash that like, subscribe, and tell me where you're tuning in. 5 p.m. in Hanoi, 3 a.m. in London. Let that fan spin softly, and let's taste the bitter consequences of a forbidden sip. The Aztecs adored pulque, a frothy sour drink fermented from maguey sap sacred to the gods, and sipped during rituals or by elders at festivals. For adults it was divine nectar, for teens it was poison. Imagine you're a young warrior in training, maybe 15, sneaking a clay cup of pulque at a feast. Caught, the punishment's no joke. First time you're shaved bald, your scalp a public badge of shame, and paraded naked through the streets, dodging insults and flung maize husks. The crowd's laughter stings worse than the chili smoke you dodged as a kid. But dare to sip again, and the Empire's patience vanishes. You're facing execution strangulation, or a beating in the plaza, your fate a grim warning to every kid dreaming of rebellion. Even noble teens, those destined for greatness, got no mercy. A prince caught drinking might be banished to a remote temple, shivering in the cold to learn discipline. Why so brutal? To the Aztecs, a drunk teen wasn't just tipsy. They were a crack in the foundation of order, risking laziness or defiance that could anger the gods. Pulque was for those who'd earned it through age or valor, not for kids with big ideas. As the plaza clears, your shaved head gleaming under torchlight, the lesson sinks in this empire sobriety's not optional. It's survival. What's next? A crime that even the gods might punish with a scowl. The dawn breaks over Tenochtitlan, painting the city's canals in hues of gold, but the air carries a faint whiff of copal and sweat from yesterday's market bustle. You're in the Aztec Empire, where we've seen sacred trees avenged and teen drinkers humbled. Now imagine the plaza stirring with whispers about someone who's dodged their duties, a slacker in a world where work is worship. Laziness wasn't just a quirk here, it was a crime against the gods themselves. Digging this hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. Where are you at 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, midnight in Cape Town? Keep that fan purring and let's see what happens when you skip your shift in the cosmic machine. In the Aztec world, everyone had a role, from nobles leading rituals to commoners tending chinampas, those floating gardens feeding the empire. Work wasn't optional, it was a sacred pact with Tlaloc, god of rain, and Tezcatlipoca, the all-seeing judge of morality. Shirk your duties and you're not just lazy, you're tempting divine wrath. Picture yourself a young man caught napping under a tree instead of hauling maize for your family. The community drags you to the marketplace where Pochteca judges don't bother with long speeches. First offence. Your head's shaved, your clothes swapped for stinking rags, and you're forced to carry a massive bundle of firewood through town. Villagers jeer. Behold the man who sleeps while the gods toil, each step a lesson in shame. Push your luck with a second offence and it's worse. You might be beaten with rods tied to a post for all to see, or sold into temporary slavery, labouring under the sun to prove your worth. Nobles weren't spared either. A young lord skipping warrior training could be sent to a brutal house of youth think boot camp with cactus spines. The Aztecs believed idleness cracked the harmony holding their world together, risking famine or divine displeasure. Every public humiliation was a reminder: pull your weight, or the empire will make you. As you trudge away, firewood digging into your shoulders, the crowd's eyes linger. What's next? A betrayal of trust that could cost more than pride. Midday in Tenochtitlan, and the Tianquisli marketplace is alive with colour and noise. Vendors shout about their cacao beans, while the scent of tamales mixes with the sting of chili dust. But there's trouble brewing. Someone's been caught selling rotten avocados and the crowd's circling like vultures. We've just seen laziness punished with public shame, but now we're diving into marketplace fraud, a crime the Aztecs treated like poison in their economic bloodstream. If you're loving this smash, that like, subscribe and tell me where you're listening. 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh, 3 a.m. in Rio. Let that fan hum softly and let's uncover the cost of a dishonest deal. The Aztec market wasn't just a place to trade, it was a sacred space blessed by the gods of commerce and agriculture. Honesty kept it flowing, and cheating, like selling watered-down pulao or fake obsidian, was a betrayal of trust and divine favour. Imagine you're a vendor caught slipping pebbles into your chili powder. Pochteca. The market's eagle-eyed judges swoop in fast. First offence. Your stall's overturned, your goods scattered across the plaza, and your hands bound for all to see. Shoppers spit insults wormy avocado peddler as you're paraded through the crowd. It's not just humiliation, it's a warning to every trader the gods see your scales. Repeat the scam and the punishment bites harder. You could be beaten, fined, or banned from the market, a death sentence for your livelihood. Sell toxic herbs as medicine, and you might face execution, especially if your victims are noble. The Aztecs knew markets were the empire's pulse. Fraud threatened everyone's survival. Every overturned stall was a spectacle, a story to keep trust alive. Even sacred goods, incense or idols had to be pure, or you'd answer to both priests and Pochteca. As you slink away, your stall in ruins, the market's hum resumes, but the lesson lingers in Tenochtitlan. Honesty isn't just policy, it's life. What's next? A lie that could bury you deeper than shame. The midday sun scorches Tenochtitlan's plaza, where the air hums with the buzz of merchants and the faint clink of obsidian tools. You're still deep in the Aztec Empire, where we've seen the market's sacred trust defended with overturned stalls and public shame. Now imagine standing before a stone dais, the crowd's eyes boring into you because you've been accused of something worse than theft or fraud lying in court. In the Aztec world, a false tongue wasn't just a mistake. It was a dagger to the heart of truth itself. Loving this dive into the past? Hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, midnight in Montreal. Keep that fan spinning softly, and let's face the cost of a lie. To the Aztecs, truth was sacred, a thread woven into the cosmic order guarded by Tezcatlipoca, the god who saw every whisper and wink. Lie in court, and you're not just bending facts, you're risking divine wrath and social chaos. Picture yourself swearing you didn't steal that jade bead, but the witnesses say otherwise. The judges, stern priests with faces like carved stone, don't take kindly to your creative storytelling. If your lie's exposed, the punishment's swift and brutal execution by strangulation, stoning, or a club to the skull depending on the mood of the day. The plaza erupts as you're dragged forward your fate, a public sermon. Lie and cause someone else's death or enslavement. You'll suffer the same, a poetic twist that cuts deep. Even a small fib could cost you. Lesser lies might earn you a public beating your face painted black to mark your deceit, or a shaved head with a sign screaming, "This one twists words." The crowd's jeers follow you through the market, each insult a reminder that truth holds the empire together. False accusations, like pointing fingers at an innocent for adultery, were just as deadly lie without proof, and you're the one facing the noose. The Aztecs didn't play with rumours, evidence ruled, and your word was your bond. As you stumble away, the plaza's chants ringing in your ears, the lesson's clear in Tenochtitlan. A lie doesn't just stain you, it buries you. What's next? A final chance, or no chance at all. Twilight settles over Tenochtitlan, the city's canals shimmering like liquid obsidian under the fading light. The crowd in the plaza hasn't thinned. They're here for a spectacle, one you've seen coming. We've watched liars face the noose and felt the sting of Aztec justice's sharp lessons. Now let's step into the grim fate of those who didn't learn, repeat offenders, the ones who spat on second chances. In the Aztec Empire, 3 strikes didn't mean a timeout, it meant the end. If you're gripped by this tale, smash that like, subscribe, and tell me where you're at. 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh, 2 a.m. in Lisbon. Let that fan hum, and let's see what happens when you push the gods too far. The Aztecs believed in balance, a world where every act rippled through the cosmos. Break the law once and you'd get a warning, maybe a shaved head, or a public whipping, the crowd's laughter, your real punishment. Twice, and you're enslaved, toiling under the sun to repay your debt to society. But a third time, that's when the Empire's patience snapped like a brittle twig. Imagine you're a thief caught stealing maize again. The temple steps loom as you're dragged forward, the crowd's murmurs turning to chants. Ritual execution awaits, maybe slow skinning your flesh stripped in public, to show what happens when you defy order. It's not just pain, it's a message carved in blood for all to see. Repeat offenders weren't just troublemakers, they were threats to the gods' harmony. A liar who kept twisting truth might be stoned each rock a reminder of the sacred trust they broke. Worse, you could be unpersoned, stripped of legal protection, left vulnerable to anyone's wrath with no recourse. No exile, no prison, just erasure from the social fabric. The Aztecs didn't waste resources on those who refused to learn. They turned them into warnings, living or dead. As the plaza clears the air heavy with the day's justice, you feel the weight of their system. One chance to mend two, to prove it three, and you're gone. What's next? A stage where justice itself becomes the star. The midday sun blazes over Tenochtitlan's central plaza, where the air crackles with anticipation, thick with the scent of copal incense and the murmur of a restless crowd. You're deep in the Aztec Empire, where we've seen repeat offenders face the ultimate price for defying cosmic order. Now picture the plaza not as a courtroom, but as a stage where justice isn't just served, it's performed. The Aztecs didn't hide their punishments behind walls. They made them spectacles, lessons, carved in shame and spectacle. Loving this journey? Smash that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, 3 a.m. in Sao Paulo. Keep that fan whirring softly, and let's step into the theatre of Aztec justice. In the Aztec world, punishment wasn't private, it was street theatre, designed to sear lessons into the collective memory. Imagine a thief caught swiping cacao beans. Instead of a quiet fine, he's dragged to the plaza, head-shaved body smeared with black soot, and dressed in tattered rags that flap like mocking banners. The crowd merchants, warriors, kids clutching maize cobs, presses close their jeers louder than temple drums. He's lashed with a maguey whip, each crack drawing gasps, or forced to carry a crushing load of firewood barefoot across the stones. This isn't just pain, it's a story, a living parable that says steal, and this is you. The Aztecs knew fear and shame outlasted bruises, keeping the next would-be thief in line. Every punishment was a performance staged in the heart of community life plazas, markets, temple steps. A lazy worker might be paraded with a sign, "This one shuns Tlaloc's gifts," while a lying witness could be painted black lips stained to scream deceit. Even executions, like a third-time thief's ritual skinning, were public, the crowd's silence as heavy as their earlier cheers. Why so open? Because the Aztecs understood human nature, pain fades, but humiliation echoes. Each spectacle taught the Empire's rules not through scrolls, but through eyes and whispers. As the thief stumbles off, the crowd's gaze lingers their minds, already retelling his tale. What's next? A closer look at the symbols that made these lessons stick. Dusk settles over Tenochtitlan, the city's canals glowing under torchlight, the air laced with the faint tang of chili and earth. You're still in the Aztec Empire, fresh from the plaza's theatrical justice, where punishments were as much about spectacle as suffering. Now let's zoom in on the symbols woven into those punishments. Colours, objects, rituals that turned criminals into walking warnings. The Aztecs didn't just hurt you, they painted your shame for all to read. Digging this hit that like, subscribe, and tell me where you're at. 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh, 4 a.m. in Dublin. Let that fan hum, and let's decode the language of Aztec justice. Every Aztec punishment was a canvas of meaning. Steal a cloak, and your head might be shaved not just for laughs, but to strip your social dignity, your bare scalp, a billboard of guilt. Black soot smeared on your face marked deceit, whether you lied in court or sold fake obsidian. The crowd knew your crime at a glance. Red paint signalled graver sins, adultery or betrayal, its hue echoing sacrificial blood. Picture a noble court drinking pulque underage, forced to sweep temple steps in a commoner's rough tunic. The inversion stings worse than any whip a prince humbled his status erased in public view. Even the tools carried meaning. Cactus spines for a tree cutter's beating weren't random. They were nature's rebuke, pricking you as you pricked the divine. These symbols weren't just flair, they were the Empire's visual code, making crime a public rupture and punishment its repair. A liar's charcoal-stained lips told a story long after the trial. A lazy man hauling firewood through town carried the burden of his neglected duty. The Aztecs crafted images that lingered, retold in market gossip and fireside tales. Even nobles faced harsher symbols. A lord's shaved head was a louder fall than a commoner's, his disgrace a warning to the elite. As the plaza empties, torchlight flickering on a soot-stained thief, you see it. Justice wasn't just felt, it was seen, a story etched in symbols. What's next? A world where prisons don't exist, only lessons, night cloaks Tenochtitlan, the city's canals shimmering like black jade under a starlit sky, the faint hum of distant chants mingling with the crackle of torch fires. You're still in the Aztec Empire where we've seen justice painted in symbols, shaved heads, black soot cactus spines that scream lessons louder than words. Now let's step into the final act of Aztec lore, a world with no prisons, only swift visible consequences that etch order into the soul of the Empire. If you're loving this, smash that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 5 PM in Ho Chi Minh City, right? Got that fan spinning for a soothing hum. Let's close out this tale with a system that didn't cage its criminals but made them unforgettable. In modern times, punishment means jail cells years counted in silence behind bars. The Aztecs, they had no time for that. Why build prisons when shame, pain, or death could teach faster? Imagine you're a thief caught once with a warning, twice with slavery. Third time, no dungeon awaits just the temple steps where a priest might flay you in front of a silent crowd, your skin a banner for cosmic balance. No jails meant no hiding. Every punishment was a public ritual, from a liar's blackened face to a lazy worker's forced march with firewood. The Aztecs didn't warehouse problems, they solved them, turning criminals into lessons for the market, the plaza, the empire. This wasn't cruelty for kicks. It was efficiency Aztec style. Even nobles like a drunken prince faced temporary captivity in ritual spaces, not prisons, but holding rooms where warriors stood guard until your execution or sacrifice. The point wasn't to lock you away, but to make you a story, a warning whispered by vendors and kids. A repeat offender might be erased, not exiled, their legal protections gone, leaving them prey to anyone's wrath. As the plaza clears the air heavy with the day's justice, you see it, the Aztecs didn't need bars. Their punishment, swift, symbolic, seen by all, kept the gods appeased and the empire spinning. This is the end of their justice tale, but the echoes linger, ready for a new story on the high seas. You're standing on the rocky shores of the Adriatic, the salt air sharp in your lungs, the crash of waves mingling with the creak of wooden ships anchored in the harbour. Forget the stone plazas of Tenochtitlan. We're now in the 3rd century BCE in the wild, windswept world of Illyria, where a queen named Tuta is about to seize the reins of a kingdom built on salt and steel. Dim the lights, let that fan hum like a distant sea breeze, and settle in for a tale of power, piracy and defiance. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 5 PM in Ho Chi Minh City. Yeah, let's sail into the story of a woman who made empires tremble. Illyria isn't the stuff of quiet history books. It's a rugged coast of jagged cliffs and hidden coves, home to fierce tribes like the RDA who live by the sea's rules, raid or be raided. Enter Tuta, not born to a throne, but married into one, wed to King Agron, a warlord whose ships terrorise the Adriatic. Agron's no soft ruler. His fleets strike like lightning, snatching tribute from Greek traders and outrunning anyone dumb enough to chase. But in 231 BCE, fate deals a blow. Agron drops dead, maybe from a fever, maybe from one too many cups of wine, depending on which tavern tale you trust. His heir, young Pins, is just a kid leaving a throne teetering like a ship in a storm. Tota doesn't flinch. She steps up as regent, not as a mourning widow, but as a commander with salt in her veins and a navy at her back. This isn't a ceremonial gig, she's got warlords eyeing her crown, tribes itching for rebellion, and a sea full of prey waiting to be plucked. Picture her in Skodra, Illyria's capital, her gaze fixed on the horizon, surrounded by grizzled captains and crested helmets. She's not here to play queen, she's here to rule. The Adriatic's hers to claim, and she knows it's not diplomacy that'll hold it, it's power raw and unrelenting. As her ships ready their sails, you feel the tide shifting. What's next? A kingdom built on plunder. The Adriatic stretches before you, its waters glinting like a thief's blade under the Illyrian sun. You're in Skodra Tuta's stronghold, where the air smells of pitch and seaweed, and the docks buzz with sailors sharpening spears. We've just seen Tuta claim her regency, a queen forging her rule in a world of warlords and waves. Now let's dive into how she turns piracy from a side hustle into the heartbeat of her kingdom. If you're loving this, smash that like, subscribe and tell me where you're at. Still 5 PM in Ho Chi Minh. Keep that fan whirring like a ship's rigging, and let's set sail with the pirate queen. In Illyria, piracy isn't crime, it's culture as natural as fishing or fighting. Tutor doesn't just tolerate it. She makes it policy, her ships prowling the sea like wolves on the hunt. Picture her fleet's sleek, fast boats slicing through the waves, crewed by men who know every cove and current. They don't just raid random merchants. They target fat Greek convoys and coastal towns, demanding tribute or torching what resists. To Illyrians, these aren't bandits. They're heroes, bringing home silver wine and glory. Tutor licenses the raids, taking a cut of the loot, her treasury swelling with each captured cargo. It's not chaos, it's strategy, a middle finger to the fading power of Athens and the growing shadow of Rome. She's not reckless, though. Tutor knows the sea's a chessboard with powers like Macedon and Epirus watching her moves. Her piracy fills a vacuum, Athens is weak, Rome's not yet king of the waves, and she plays it like a master. Her ships control trade routes, choking rivals while feeding Illyrian ports. To her people, she's not a criminal. She's a provider, turning the Adriatic into their playground. But every raid sends ripples, and far across the sea, Roman senators are starting to scowl. As Tutor's sails vanish into the horizon, you sense trouble brewing. What's next? A clash with a giant waking from its slumber. The Adriatic's waves churn under a brooding sky, their foam hissing against the rocky Illyrian coast like a warning whispered in the dark. You're in Skodra Tutor's capital, where the air's thick with salt and the clatter of spears being sharpened on the docks. We've seen Tutor turn piracy into Illyria's lifeblood, her ships raiding with the precision of a hawk. But now the sea carries a new sound, rumours of Roman anger stirring like a storm on the horizon. If you're gripped by this tale, hit that like, subscribe, and drop a comment 5 PM in Ho Chi Minh City, right? Let that fan hum like a distant gale, and let's watch a queen face the Republic's glare. Tutor's pirates aren't just plucking low-hanging fruit anymore. They're striking Roman convoys, shaking down Greek cities under Rome's protection, and even torching ports along Italy's western shores. To Illyrians, it's business as usual, loot's loot, and the sea's their turf. But to Rome, it's a slap in the face, an insult to their growing pride. By 230 BCE, the Senates had enough. Picture their marble chamber togas rustling as senators growl about lost trade and wounded honour. They dispatch a diplomatic mission to Skodra led by Lucius Coruncanius, a blunt-talking Roman who doesn't mince words. His orders: tell Tutor to leash her pirates or Rome's legions will do it for her. It's a warning wrapped in velvet, but the blade beneath gleams. The envoys sail into Skodra's harbour, their ship dwarfed by Illyrian warboats. Imagine the scene: Tutor on her throne, surrounded by warriors in crested helmets, her eyes cold as the sea. The Romans deliver their ultimatum: stop the raids, pay reparations, or face consequences. Tutor listens, her face unreadable, but the air's electric with defiance. Rome expects her to bow. She's not that kind of queen. Her response, sharp as a harpoon, cuts through their pomp Illyrian kings. She says let their people live as they please see included. It's a polite way of saying mind your own business. As the Romans sail back fuming, you feel the tide turning. What's next? A spark that'll set the sea ablaze. Skodra's cliffs loom over the Adriatic, the sea below glinting like a drawn blade under the midday sun. You're in Tutor's stronghold, where the air's charged with salt sweat and the low hum of defiance. We've just seen Rome's envoys storm out their ultimatum, spurned by a queen who rules the waves with an iron hand. Now the tension's thicker than fog, and a single misstep could ignite a war. If you're loving this saga, smash that like, subscribe, and tell me where you're at still 5 PM in Ho Chi Minh. Keep that fan whirring like a ship's sail, and let's witness a decision that'll echo across empires. Tutor's no fool, she knows Rome's not some petty Greek city-state to be bullied or bribed. But backing down, that's not her style. Picture the Roman envoys led by the brash Lucius Coruncanius, striding through Skodra's marble halls, their togas stark against the Illyrian warriors' bronze. They're not just delivering a message, they're dripping with Roman arrogance. One of them, maybe Lucius himself, crosses a line. He sneers at Tutor, calling her rule weak, her piracy the tantrum of a woman unfit to lead. It's a jab at her power, her gender, her very throne. The hall goes quiet, the air crackling like a storm about to break. Tutor's eyes narrow, and you can almost hear her pulse. She doesn't shout or hesitate. With a nod, she seals his fate. Days later, as the envoys prepare to sail, the offending Roman is ambushed, cut down on her orders. his blood staining Illyrian soil. It's not just murder, it's a message bold as a war cry Illyria bows to no one. But it's also a gamble. Rome doesn't forgive dead diplomats. Back in the Senate, the news hits like a thunderbolt. Togas fly, fists pound marble, and cries for war drown out reason. Tutor's act isn't just defiance, it's the spark of Rome's first campaign across the Adriatic, a war that'll reshape the sea. As her ships patrol the horizon, you sense the Republic's wrath rising. What's next? A clash of sails and steel. The Adriatic roars under a steel-grey sky, its waves battering Illyria's cliffs like war drums, echoing Rome's wrath. You're in Skodra Tutor's fortress, where the air's thick with tar and tension. The dock's alive with warriors scrambling to arm ships. We've just seen Tutor's bold move slaying a Roman envoy ignite a fuse that's now burning toward war. Rome's not playing games, and the sea's about to become a battlefield. Loving this epic smash that, like, subscribe and drop a comment 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh City right on time. Let that fan hum like a ship's creaking hull, and let's sail into the storm of Rome's invasion. By 229 BCE, Rome's patience is ash. Tutor's pirates have bled their trade routes dry, and the envoy's blood demands vengeance. Picture the Senate's marble halls, senators bellowing for action, their togas flapping like war banners. They launch a fleet 200 ships strong, a wooden wall, bristling with legionaries led by 2 consuls who mean business. This isn't a slap on the wrist. It's Rome's first leap across the Adriatic, a machine of war grinding toward Illyria. Tutor Regent and Sea Queen rallies her navy, but her patchwork of tribal warriors and pirate crews is no match for Rome's relentless drill. Her ships, fast and fierce, dart like wolves, but Rome's fleet is a bear, slow, but unstoppable. The Romans don't waste time. They hit Corcyra, first modern Corfu, snatching it from Illyrian hands and turning it into a naval base. Apollonia and Epidamnus, Greek cities bullied by Tutor's raids, flip to Rome's side, their gates swinging open like traitors' arms. Tutor's coastal strongholds crumble as her allies waver, smelling defeat in the wind. Her pirates strike where they can, harrying Roman supply lines, but it's like spitting into a gale. By year's end, Roman boots march towards Skodra, the sea crawling with their sails. Tutor's kingdom, once a pirate's paradise, is shrinking fast. As her warriors brace for siege, you feel the noose tightening. What's next? A queen's defiance. Or her fall. Skodra's walls stand defiant, but the Adriatic's horizon is choked with Roman sails, their shadows creeping over Illyria's cliffs like a tide of iron. You're in Tutor's capital, the air heavy with smoke and fear, the clatter of spears drowned by the distant thud of Roman rams. We've watched Rome's invasion carve through Tutor's kingdom, her pirate empire fraying under the Republic's relentless advance. Now, with her allies deserting and her navy outmatched, Tutor faces an impossible choice. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe, and comment still 5 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh. Keep that fan whirring like a fading wind, and let's see a queen confront her fate. It's 228 BCE, and Tutor's world is collapsing. Her coastal forts are Roman prizes, her tribal allies are cutting deals, and Skodra's under siege. Picture her on the battlements, hair whipped by the sea breeze, her warriors' faces grim but loyal. She's no coward, but she's pragmatic, fighting to the last shipwreck's annihilation. So she does the unthinkable, she sues for peace. The Romans, eager to make an example, dictate terms that cut like knives. Tutor must surrender most of Illyria's coast, abandon her forts, and worst of all, scuttle her navy, allowed only 2 unarmed ships, a mockery of her sea queen crown. She's left to rule a shrunken inland scrap, her power clipped, her waves stolen. The terms sting, but Tutor signs. Her throne's intact, her life spared, a rare mercy from Rome, who'd rather parade rebels in chains. Picture the silence as her ships are beached, their sails torn, the sea no longer hers. Yet even in defeat she's unbroken her defiance, a spark that'll burn in Illyrian memory. Rome's victory reshapes the Adriatic, but Tutor's gamble made them earn it. Her regency fades, her stepson pins, a puppet under Roman eyes, but her name, it's already sailing into legend. As Skodra's gates open to Roman banners, you sense the story's shift. What's next? A legacy that outlives empires. The Adriatic's waves lap gently against Skodra's cliffs, their rhythm a quiet elegy for a kingdom humbled. You're in Illyria, 228 BCE, where the air still carries the tang of salt and the bitter sting of defeat. Tutor's navy is gone, her coast surrendered to Rome's iron grip, but her story's far from over. We've seen her bow to the Republic's might, trading sails for survival. Now let's step back and trace the shadow she cast on Rome's memory, Illyria's heart, and a sea that won't forget her name. Loving this saga? Smash that like, subscribe, and drop a comment. 5:30 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, perfect timing. Let that fan hum like a distant shore, and let's sail into Tutor's enduring legend. In Rome, Tutor's name is hissed with a mix of scorn and grudging respect. Picture their senate togas swirling as they boast of crushing the pirate queen, yet her defiance stings. They didn't just win, she made them bleed for it. Roman historians like Polybius scribble her down as a reckless woman, her rule a tantrum against their destiny. But beneath the sneers, she's a milestone, the first to challenge Rome on the open sea, forcing them to build a navy that'll soon rule the Mediterranean. Her rebellion, though, crushed marks Rome's leap from landbound republic to maritime empire. Tutor's defeat is their triumph, but it's her spark that lit their sails. In Illyria, she's no footnote, she's a fire. Picture coastal villages where sailors and shepherds whisper her name over flickering fires. To them, Tutor's not a loser, but a queen who dared to spit in Rome's eye. Her surrender saved their lives, and her defiance fuels their pride. As Illyria fades under Roman rule, her story grows woven into songs of resistance. By the 19th century, as Balkan nations like Albania rise, Tutor's reborn, a symbol of independence, her name carved on statues and streets. Even now, her shadow lingers in Adriatic ports, a queen who ruled the waves and refused to vanish. As Scodra's torchlights dim, you feel her legacy pulse. What's next? The sea Rome claimed because of her. The Adriatic glints under a dawn sky, its waters no longer Illyria's, but Rome's, their warships cutting through the waves like conquerors claiming a throne. You're still in the wake of Tutor's fall, where her surrender in 228 BCE handed Rome the sea she once ruled. We've seen her legacy burn bright in Illyrian hearts, a spark that outlives her defeat. Now let's turn to Rome, where Tutor's defiance didn't just end a war, it birthed a naval empire. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe, and comment. 5:30 p.m. in Ho Chi Minh, right? Keep that fan whirring like a Roman galley's oars, and let's explore how a pirate queen reshaped the Republic. Before Tutor, Rome was a land beast, its legions stomping across Italy's hills, its eyes fixed on soil, not sea. The Adriatic, that was for Greeks traders or pirates like Illyria's crews. But Tutor's raids, striking Roman convoys, torching their allies' ports, forced a reckoning. Picture Rome's shipyards humming in 229 BCE, timber and tar transforming into 200 warships for the First Illyrian War. It's no small feat. Rome's learning to sail, fight and conquer on water, all because a queen refused to bow. Her assassination of their envoy wasn't just a slap, it was a wake-up call pushing Rome to master the waves, or lose their trade. The victory over Tutor isn't the end, it's the beginning. Rome doesn't just crush Illyria, they stay. Picture their flags over Corcyra, Apollonia, Epidamnus ports, once Tutor's, now Roman bases. They install puppet rulers, collect tribute and patrol the sea, turning the Adriatic into their backyard. Tutor's war teaches Rome to think beyond borders, to cross seas and claim coasts. Without her, would Rome have built that navy so soon? Maybe not. Her defiance meant to protect Illyria, ironically hands Rome the tools to dominate the Mediterranean. As their sails fade into the horizon, you see it. Tutor didn't just lose, she changed the map. What's next? A queen's power through a woman's lens. The Adriatic's dusk paints Scodra's cliffs in shades of amber. The seas whisper a soft requiem for Tutor's fallen kingdom. You're in Illyria, 228 BCE, where the air still hums with the echo of her defiance against Rome's might. We've seen her spark Rome's naval rise, turning a landbound republic into a sea power. Now let's shift the lens to Tutor herself. Not just a queen, but a woman ruling in a world where swords and bloodlines carved thrones. If you're hooked, smash that, like, subscribe and comment. 9:39 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, perfect morning vibe. Let that fan spin like a ship's wheel, and let's dive into the power of a queen who made men nervous. In the ancient world, leadership was a man's game, won on battlefields or sealed by noble blood. Yet here's Tutor commanding fleets, outwitting warlords, and staring down Rome without a flinch. Picture her in Scodra's hall, her voice cutting through the grumble of bearded captains, her orders sending ships to raid or parley. She didn't inherit peace. She took a throne, wobbling after her husband Agron's death, surrounded by tribal rivals and a kid heir pinned. Roman scribes like Polybius sneer at her, calling her rule a woman's weakness, her defiance, emotional, not strategic. It's the old playbook, a woman in power must be irrational, right-wrong. Tutor's no hysteric. She's a tactician turning piracy into policy, holding Illyria's fractious tribes together with sheer will. Her execution of Rome's envoy wasn't a tantrum, it was a calculated jab defending her sovereignty when insulted as just a woman. Picture the Roman sneer implying she's unfit, then her nod sealing his fate. Risky, sure. But it's the move of a ruler, not a caricature. Her people didn't betray her, they fought until Rome's legions overwhelmed them. Even in surrender, she outlives most rebels spared where others were chained. Roman ink tries to dim her, but Illyrian fires keep her bright a queen who ruled not seduced in a world that rarely let women stand tall. As Scodra's torches flicker, you feel her strength linger. What's next? A legend that sails beyond history. Night falls over the Adriatic, its waves glinting like scattered stars along Illyria's coast, where Scodra's ruins whisper of a queen long gone. You're in the aftermath of Tutor's reign, her throne reduced, but her name already weaving into legend. We've seen her wield power as a woman in a man's world, defying Rome's scorn. Now let's watch her story transcend history, becoming a myth that sails through centuries. Loving this tale? Hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 9:39 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh. Morning coffee in hand. Keep that fan humming like a coastal breeze and let's trace Tutor's immortal wake. Tutor fades from history after 228 BCE, her Stepson pin, a Roman puppet, her ships beached, her sea stolen. But Illyria's heart doesn't let her go. Picture fishermen by firelight spinning tales of the queen, who ruled the waves, her fleet striking like sea serpents. In Albanian folklore, she's no defeated regent, she's a matriarch, a symbol of defiance against empires. By the 19th century, as Balkan nations like Albania forge identities, Tutor rises again. Statues of her sword in hand grace squares in Tirana and Montenegro's coasts. Schoolkids chant her name beside heroes like Skanderbeg, her story fueling pride in a pre-Roman Illyrian soul. Even modern seas carry her echo. Cruise ships, hotels, festivals bear her name, a queen, reborn in bronze and ballad. Romantic poets paint her as a tragic heroine, while Balkan feminists hail her as a pioneer ruling without apology. In coastal towns, old sailors swear she hid treasure in island caves or cursed the waters that betrayed her. Proof? None. But myths don't need it. Tutor's not just a queen, she's a symbol immune to Rome's erasure. The empire that crushed her lies in ruins, but her name sails on, etched in Adriatic ports, whispered in classrooms, alive in every wave. As Scodra's lights fade, you see it Tutor's story outlives stone. This is her tale's end, but her myth never docks. Picture yourself in 1803 standing on the banks of the Mississippi, the water sluggish and brown, carrying whispers of a vast unknown west. The salty Adriatic and Tenochtitlan's canals are behind us. Now we're in a young United States buzzing with ambition. Dim the lights, let that fan hum like a prairie wind and settle in for a tale of exploration that'll map a nation's dreams. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 9:46 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh City. Perfect morning vibe. Let's dive into the spark that launched Lewis and Clark into legend. Thomas Jefferson, the new president, just pulled off the deal of the century, the Louisiana Purchase, a whopping 800,000 square miles snagged from France for $15 million. It's not a backyard, it's a wilderness stretching from New Orleans to the Rockies, a blank spot on the map that could double America's size. Jefferson's thrilled, but there's a catch. Nobody knows what's out there. Rumours swirl of towering mountains, woolly mammoths, and a fabled Northwest Passage, a water route to the Pacific that could unlock trade with Asia. The Mississippi's busy, but beyond it, mystery. Jefferson's not one for guesswork, he wants facts maps and a path to the future. His plans bold, send a crack team west to chart this terra incognita. They'll sketch rivers, catalogue plants, meet native tribes and hunt that elusive passage. Jefferson taps Meriwether Lewis, his secretary, and a former army captain with a knack for science to lead. Lewis picks William Clark, an old comrade tough as leather and steady as a keelboat. They're not conquerors, but explorers armed with quills as much as muskets. Picture Jefferson in candlelight scribbling orders, document everything, make friends, find the Pacific. It's a gamble tossing a handful of men into the unknown, but the prize is a nation's destiny. As the Mississippi ripples, you feel the weight of their mission. What's next? A team forged for the wild. You're still in 1803. The Mississippi's muddy flow, a constant hum as winter bites at your fingertips. We've seen Jefferson's vision a grand expedition to unravel the Louisiana Territory's secrets. Now picture a rough camp near St. Louis where two captains are building a team to face rivers, mountains and mysteries. If you're loving this smash that, like, subscribe and comment, 9:46 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh, coffee in hand, keep that fan whirring like a river's current, and let's meet the men who'll become the cause of discovery. Lewis and Clark aren't looking for just any crew. They need tough souls who can row against currents, hunt grizzlies, fix broken boats, and not crack after months of no privacy. Picture Camp Dubois, a muddy sprawl of tents and campfires where recruits drill under a grey sky. They pull from army outposts and frontier towns young single men hungry for adventure. There's George Drouillard, a half-Shawnee tracker, who reads trails like a book, and John Ordway, a no-nonsense sergeant keeping the rowdies in line. Each man swears an oath not just to Lewis and Clark, but to a nation betting on their grit. This isn't a joyride. It's a mission carrying America's hopes. The camp's a hive of prep. They pack a custom keelboat, its sails snapping in the wind, stuffed with trade goods, beads, knives, Jefferson's peace medals plus muskets, medical kits, and 200 pounds of ink for journals. Winter days are spent rowing, shooting, and learning to trust each other. Discipline's iron desert, and you'll taste the lash, but the men bond joking by firelight, their breath fogging in the cold. By May 1804, over 40 strong, they're ready, a motley crew of blacksmiths, hunters, even a fiddler for morale. As they shove off up the Missouri oars biting the water, you sense the wild calling. What's next? A river that fights back. The Missouri River churns before you, its muddy waters glinting under a May sun, a beast of a current that doesn't care about your dreams. It's 1804 and you're with the core of discovery, fresh from Camp Dubois oars digging into the flow as St. Louis fades behind. We've seen Jefferson's vision and the team forged to chase it. Now you're on the water facing a river that's as much foe as guide. Loving this adventure? Smash that like, subscribe and drop a comment. 9:47 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh City morning vibes. Let that fan hum like the river's rush and let's row into the wild. The Missouri's no gentle stream. Picture the Corps over 40 men strong-hauling their keelboat against a current that fights like a cornered bear. Sandbars snag the hull, submerged logs threaten to splinter it, and mosquitoes swarm thick enough to blot the stars. Each day's a grind, men wade chest-deep ropes, burning their hands as they tow from the banks or pole the boat inch by inch. The sun scorches the airs wet with sweat, yet Lewis and Clark keep spirits high. They're not just captains, but scientists stopping to sketch pronghorn antelopes or measure river bends with sextants. Every night journals fill with notes, bison herds, strange fish stars sharp as hope. The land's alive with native nations who've called it home forever. By August, the Corps meets the Otto and Missouri tribes near modern Nebraska. Picture Clark handing out peace medals. Lewis explaining America's new claim, a tough sell to folks who've never heard of Jefferson. Diplomacy holds gifts of beads and tobacco smoothing the way. But nature's less kind grizzlies prowl, fiercer than tales warned, and gnats torment like a biblical plague. 5 months in October's chill bites as they reach Mandan villages in North Dakota. The river's icing over, but the Corps' grit is iron. As campfires crackle, you feel the weight of their journey. What's next? A winter among strangers. Snow dusts the North Dakota plains, the Missouri River frozen into a glittering scar under a sky sharp with cold. It's late 1804 and you're huddled at Fort Mandan, a log stockade the course of discovery slapped together to survive the winter. The river's brutal gauntlet is behind you, but the Rockies loom ahead, and now it's time to rest, repair and learn. If you're hooked, hit that like, subscribe and comment. 9:47 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh, perfect for a tale. Keep that fan whirring like a blizzard's whisper, and let's settle into a season that'll shape the expedition's fate. Fort Mandan's no cozy lodge, think drafty log smoke curling from a clay chimney, and temperatures plunging to bone-rattling lows. The Corps 40-plus strong spends days patching gear, drying meat, and trading with the Mandan and Hidatsa tribes nearby. Picture their villages, earth lodges, bustling with traders and farmers' kids darting through snow. These tribes aren't just neighbours, they're lifelines sharing corn and buffalo to keep the Corps fed. Lewis and Clark lean hard on their host knowledge, scribbling notes on distant mountains and a tribe called the Shoshone, who've got horses the expedition desperately needs to cross the Rockies. The winter's a classroom. The Mandan chiefs talk rivers and